good, Commanders fans? I've been wanting to get this video out to you guys, but just been super busy this week. Also wanted to preview some of the playoff games this weekend. We have a lot of good matchups, man. Bobby Slowick and the Texans versus Mike McDonald and the Ravens. Then we got Ben Johnson versus Tampa Bay and their defense. So we're going to see a lot of potential candidates in there. Three of the guys that are really at the top of my list, or top of my preference personally, all young guys for the most part. Slowick, young, innovative offensive mind. Mike McDonald, young, innovative defensive mind. Ben Johnson, young, innovative offensive mind, the front runner for the job in everybody else's eyes or everybody's prediction. Ben Johnson from the Lions. So I'm excited. And just for good football in general, the Niners as well against Green Bay, that's going to be a tough, physical game. I can't wait to see that too. So I'm excited for some divisional playoff football. I can't wait until we're a part of it. With the new front office coming in, Adam Peters, there's optimism there. So I'm just excited to see some good football. And they already got some of the terrible teams out that didn't deserve to be there, like the Cowboys and the Eagles that were just, fraudulent for the second half of the season. I'm so happy the Cowboys kept Mike McCarthy. And like I said in my last video, I'm going to get to the topic here, but I do want to talk about some things. Like I said, if I were the Cowboys, I would trade. I'd get the salary cap thing and the money that they own, the dead cap money. But if they want to improve and just be better as a franchise, they should move on. They should have fired Mike McCarthy. They should have fired Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn had his interview on Thursday as well. Raheem Morris had his interview on Thursday as well for our head coaching vacancy. But yeah, they should have fired Mike McCarthy, and they should move on from Dak. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. Excuse me, even when you're failing. And Dak has shown you that he's just like Tony Romo, where he's just going to choke in the playoffs. He's just not built for it. He's just not built for it. Every time he gets there, gets outplayed, throwing interceptions, just like Tony Romo. Tony Romo couldn't even hold a field goal. That's or extra point or whatever. It was a field goal, extra point that he botched and he fumbled that. That just shows you just from time how the Cowboys just choke. They're just not built for it. They're just not built for the playoffs. And they're going to do the same thing next year. They'll probably win 12 games. But guess what? They're going to choke in the playoffs. They can win as many regular season games they want to. But we know what's going to happen when they get to the playoffs. When they play a tough team or a team that is equal to them or better than them, They shrink under pressure. They get big boy. They get bullied in their own home. So, all right, let's get to the topic here. So, Adam Peters, he was asked by I want to say Nikki Javala asked him the question about his interview and what he thinks about Adam Peters. And saying basically that he's the front runner for the job. A lot of people were saying that in the media and just the national media and just all around in general. And Ben Johnson went to say, quote, "I've heard nothing but fantastic things about Adam Peters from people that have worked with him directly or have met him over the course of scouting on the road. So look forward to meeting him and talking more." And also that he's very excited for the interview as well. So this is just awesome news, man. It's awesome news. Now, like I said, you don't want to get too excited from him saying that because he's going to be professional and say that now. I guess if, you got to take time. If the previous regime was here, like let's say Bruce Allen was the GM and Dan Snyder was still here and stuff like that, would he say that? Probably not. He probably wouldn't even take the interview. So that's one big step there. But like I said, I'm not going to get too happy that he said that because that's just a professional answer. But at the same time, what he said is the truth, man. A lot of people have said nothing but great things about Adam Peters. Nothing but awesome things. Like he's always at the top of the young front office minds. Like every article, like The Athletic or whatever article comes out, they always list Adam Peters as like the top 10 or top 10 great people to work with, peers, agents. They always say nothing but good things about Adam Peters. You look at his track record, his draft record. Yes, there's some misses in the first round, but some of that's attributed to Kyle Shanahan. But a lot of the late round picks like George Kittle, Elijah Mitchell, or even some of the higher picks like Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Nick Bosa. So he's made a lot of good picks. Good trades too, Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams. So you just look at his track record. Done some good things with the Broncos, won a Super Bowl. The list goes on and on with his resume. Won a Super Bowl with the Patriots. Made it to the Super Bowl with the Niners. So nothing but great things from Adam Peters. He was a college scout and all that. So nothing but good things from Adam Peters. Just him as a person and just him as a assistant general manager as well. So I think they're going to be a great duo, both young guys, and I think you got guys on the same timeline: a first-time GM and a first-time head coach. Two young, innovative minds, know the way that the game of football is being played, and I think that's the way to go. That's a great marriage to go for these guys. And I'm excited, man. If we can get Ben Johnson, I'm starting to actually. Bobby Slowick is really growing on me too, man. Especially looking at that playoff game that they had against the Browns, and just him developing a young quarterback. So Bobby Slowick's up there too for me, man. If I think it's a win-win if you get Bobby Slowick or Ben Johnson. McDonald's a win too, but I think all those guys are a win for sure. And then also Dan Campbell had nothing but good things to say about Ben Johnson as well. And he said, quote, I think it's made him a better coach. Yeah, he's grown as a coordinator, got a little bit better. You learn things as you would being in that position. Yeah, there's that, but I think it's made him a more well-rounded coach. This is talking about Ben Johnson coming back instead of taking a head coaching job last year. I think when you do that and you get in that, it's like, okay, there could be a next step. I'm not ready for that in my head. I don't want to go there yet. Yes, I'm a better coordinator, but it's also he's starting to look for and ask these questions about roster, game day, building a team, what you're looking for in front of the room, and I think it served him well. Just him, Dan Campbell was just talking about Ben Johnson coming back and learning and getting better at, and just being ready to be a head coach, roster manager, and all that. Just a leader of men, because Adam Peters talking about leadership. And that's the thing. Like, you look at some of the other candidates like Jim Harbaugh, Bill Belichick. No, we're not going to bring those guys in. But if you talk about leadership, they may have the upper hand on Ben Johnson because Ben Johnson hasn't done it before. Jim Harbaugh is certainly a leader of men for sure. We know Bill Belichick is most likely going to the Falcons. But that's just the only question mark is, like, can Ben Johnson be a leader of men? I don't think that's really a question mark. It's something that we haven't seen. But you look at him taped and mic'd up with the Senior Bowl, talking to Sam Howell, joking around with him, building relationships with other guys. You hear him on the mic'd up. He sounds like a great guy that can definitely be a leader of men for sure. All right, and then last thing, Dan Graziano says he believes and is predicting Ben Johnson as the Commanders' new head coach. Quote the article, he says, my prediction for the Commanders' next head coach, Ben Johnson, new Commanders owner Josh Harris already landed his top target for GM and Adam Peters. Many people around the league believe Harris has been focused on Johnson as his top choice for coach. Though there are some who think Slowick and McDonald still possibilities, Harris's process so far has been thorough, but not slow. I believe he really wants Johnson, and he and Peters are in position to make that happen, even if it's just about getting an agreement in place that can't be finalized until after the Lions season ends. So there's a lot of smoke and fire, man. There's a lot of smoke, just fire for sure. Everybody's saying Ben Johnson, Ben Johnson, Ben Johnson. Like I said, I think it's a home run if they get Ben Johnson. But if they end up with Slowick, McDonald, I think those are certainly wins too. So don't sleep on those guys. Excuse me. But Ben Johnson, I'm excited to see this offense, what they do against the Buccaneers. They're going to put up a lot of points against the Buccaneers. They are. They're going to put up a lot of points. They're going to put up a lot of passing yards too, man. That Bucs defense is not good at all. They give up a lot of passes. I'm not going to say they're not good because you saw what they did to Philly. You saw what they did to Jalen Hurts. So I'm wrong to say that. That blitzing, Todd Bowles, he brings that pressure. He's not scared to throw the kitchen sink at people. So this is going to be a good matchup. I do want to see what adjustments that Ben Johnson does in this game. I will be watching very, very, very closely. I want to see what time they play. I don't think they play on Saturday. I want to say they play on Sunday. But that's going to be a fun game to watch. Yeah, they play Sunday at 3 o'clock. That's going to be a fun game to watch. What adjustments does he make? Because you saw what the Eagles did, man. Jalen Hurts, he was getting – it was a tough game for him. It was a rough game for him for sure. All right, so last part here. So let's get the prize picks here. These are my picks for the weekend. And let's see what I'm going with. I got my picks right here. I got Amon-Ra, St. Brown. You look at Ben Johnson, he just gets Amon-Ra to football. And that's what I want him to do with Terry. He gets him the football. He force feeds his best players the football. Amon-Ra St. Brown will never, ever say that I feel like I'm running cardio. That's one thing I'd never want to hear my best receiver ever say. And Amon-Ra will never say that because he's going to get the targets, he's going to get the receptions, he's going to get the yards. He's going to get game plan forward. Just even screen passes, you see that. He just gets the ball, manufactures touches for Amon-Ra St. Brown. You look at Tampa, they gave up a bunch of yards to Devontae Smith last week. I'm just looking at some of the stats just to back up the pick here. Devontae Smith had 148 receiving yards. And Amon-Ra St. Brown, I could see him getting to 90 yards in the first half, especially against Tampa Bay's defense. They give up a lot of passing yards. And they're not scared to give up passing yards because they're willing to throw the kitchen sink. So they're willing to gamble and give up big plays. That's just the kind of defense that Todd Bowles calls out there. My other pick is Devin Singletary over 59.5 rushing yards. The Ravens defense, they do give up rushing yards. They do. And they're an opportunistic defense. And once again, PrizePicks, use my promo code Real at Oliver. You get up to $100. First-time users, 100% deposit match, up to $100 on PrizePicks for first-time users. Using my promo code Real at Oliver. Make sure you guys sign up with the link down below in the description. Shout out to PrizePicks. So I got Devin Singletary over 59.5 rushing yards. Looking at the Ravens, when they played the Niners, Christian McCaffrey had 100 rushing yards. When they played the Dolphins, Devin Achane had 100 rushing yards as well. Joe Mixon had 69 rushing yards when they played the Ravens. When they played the Bengals, when they played the Rams, Kyron Williams had over 100 rushing yards. Now, the Steelers, they played, was it Najee Harris? Najee Harris had 112 rushing yards. So if you look at the numbers, you look at the stats, every running back has nearly 100 rushing yards against this Ravens defense. Now, the thing is with Mike Macdonald, they are an opportunistic defense. They force turnovers. That's my only concern with Mike Macdonald. Yes, they get sacks, they get pressures, but if they're not forcing turnovers, it's kind of like, can they get enough stops and keep the other team from scoring? That's my biggest concern. Now, a big part of your defense, if you can force turnovers, that's a huge part. Because you look at Jack Del Rio, look at Ron Rivera, we could never force a turnover. And Mike Macdonald, he forces pressures, he forces chaos, and he forces guys like Brock Purdy to throw 4 interceptions. Tua threw a couple of interceptions. So I give credit to Mike Macdonald, but if they're not forcing and capitalizing on those opportunities like we don't, dropping interceptions or whatnot, are you going to shut down a defense? Are you going to shut down C.J. Stroud? So that's a big question mark for me this weekend. If they don't force turnovers, what happens? But I think Devin Singletary, I would bet the over on 56.5 rushing yards. Like I said, you look at the numbers there. A lot of running backs have gotten a lot of yards against the Ravens defense. So let's go to the money line picks, though. PrizePicks doesn't have money line picks, but I'm just going to give them out for myself, for you guys this weekend. I did a pretty awful job last week. I picked the Browns to win. I think I picked the Cowboys to win. So I might have did the reverse jinx on the Cowboys. But let's see. I got the Ravens winning. So we'll do this real quick. Ravens, Niners, Lions, Chiefs. So I'm basically picking all the favorites. So there's going to be an upset. I probably will go 3 out of 4. So Ravens, Niners, Lions, Chiefs. And like I said, I'm basically picking on. Actually, the Buffalo Bills are the favorites. They're favored by 2.5. Detroit's favored by 6.5. The Niners are favored by 9.5. Baltimore's favored by 9.5. So Ravens, Niners, Lions, and Chiefs. Those are my picks. You guys comment down below your picks for this weekend. Let me know what you guys think. And what you guys think are going to think about the head coach situation. Now, there have not been any comments about Ben Johnson's interview so far. So we'll see if their interview went into the night like Adam Peters did, where it was a long, long interview. So we'll see if we get that report coming out pretty soon. So, all right, you guys. Hell Commanders. Peace.